It was 7:48 on a Monday morning when Cole Whitaker's phone buzzed against the edge of his saw bench. He was mid-cut, a 12-foot plank of white oak trembling under the blade, sawdust rising in a pale cloud around his forearms. He let the saw finish before he picked up. The voice was calm, the way school secretaries train themselves to be calm. "Mr. Whitaker, Macy has been asked to remain at the office. There are some serious concerns." He did not change his clothes. He did not wash the sawdust from his hands. He locked the job site, got in his truck, and drove. Macy was sitting in the chair nearest the window when he arrived. Her backpack was on her lap, both arms wrapped around it the way a younger child holds something precious. Her eyes were dry, but red at the corners, the kind of red that comes not from crying, but from holding it back for too long. On the small table in front of her, 2 documents had been placed side by side. One was her score sheet from the County Math Invitational. The number 98 was printed in the upper right corner, circled in red ink, by someone who intended it to look suspicious. The second was a printed form that read, in capital letters, "Referred for Academic Dishonesty Review." Cole looked at his daughter. He looked at the papers. He pulled the empty chair beside hers, sat down, and placed his hand on her shoulder. He didn't say, "It will be fine." He didn't say, "Don't worry." He said nothing at all, but his hand stayed there, steady and certain, and Macy let out a breath she had been holding since before he walked through the door. The meeting with Dr. Nora Ellison took place 20 minutes later in the principal's office at the end of the hallway. Nora was 35, new to Daler Creek High, precise in her speech and careful in her posture. She laid out the facts without drama. Macy Whitaker, age 14, scored 98 out of 100 in the County Math Invitational. Highest score in the county. She continued, her voice even. The result has been flagged as a statistical anomaly. Her methods were unusually sophisticated compared to her academic record. They do not match the 9th grade curriculum. She paused, and a formal complaint has been filed by Gerald Fenn, chairman of the Parent Association. Cole sat quietly, hands folded. When she finished, he asked one question. "What is the actual evidence of cheating?" Nora hesitated, just slightly. "There is no direct evidence of misconduct at this time." Cole nodded once. 3 weeks, Nora added. "That's how long the review process takes." He looked down at his hands. 3 weeks is a long time for a 14-year-old. And it was. By the end of the first week, the whispers had started. Not loud enough to report. Not quiet enough to ignore. Cheater. Macy heard it in hallways, in passing, in the spaces between conversations. She stopped eating in the cafeteria. She started sitting alone in the library, tucked behind the reference shelves. At home, the changes came slowly. Dinner conversations shortened. Laughter faded. She went to bed early. Cole didn't push. He asked simple questions and accepted simple answers. But one night, at 11:15, he heard it. The soft, steady clicking of a calculator behind her door. She wasn't studying for a test. She was solving problems. Because math was still hers. Because numbers didn't lie. Because no one could take that away from her. Cole sat in the dark, listening, and began to build his argument. On the second week, he returned to the school. He placed a handwritten document on Nora's desk. 2 pages. Precise. Detailed. It walked through Macy's solution step by step, explaining the logic behind it, naming the principles, showing the reasoning. Nora read it carefully. "Where did you study mathematics?" she asked. Cole replied quietly, "I have a background in math education." That night, Nora reviewed Macy's entire academic history. Not just this year. All of it. And what she found changed everything. This wasn't a sudden leap in ability. This was a pattern. For years, Macy had been solving problems differently, unconventionally, correctly. She had been marked wrong before, not because she was wrong, but because she wasn't understood. Nora leaned back in her chair. This wasn't cheating. This was brilliance, overlooked. Then she found something else. Brandon Fenn, the previous top student, had been working with a private tutor, one connected to the very office that designed the exam. The connection had quietly disappeared from public records. Nora wrote it down and underlined it. The case was no longer simple. It was bigger than a test. It was about power. On the 3rd week, the situation escalated. A second complaint was filed. This time, it wasn't just about Macy. It was about canceling the entire competition, erasing her score completely. Cole read the message twice. Then he started moving. A breakthrough came in the form of a handwritten note. Denise Park, a retired exam proctor, had observed something during the test. One student had completed the entire exam without using scratch paper. Small, precise steps. Minimal writing. Complete control. She had seen it before, once in 19 years. That student had gone on to earn a scholarship. Denise signed a formal statement. Cole delivered it the next morning. Nora read it and made her decision. "I'm taking this to the Independent Academic Review Board," she said. Cole looked at her. "There will be consequences for you." "I know," she replied, "but I'm doing it anyway." The hearing took place on a Thursday morning. Gerald Finn arrived with a lawyer. Cole arrived alone. The argument against Macy was polished, professional, and built on doubt, not evidence. Then Cole stood. He presented 3 documents: the analysis of the proof, the proctor's statement, and his own credentials as a national level math judge. He explained Macy's method clearly. "This isn't something you copy," he said. "This is something you understand." Dr. Priya Singh asked 2 technical questions. Cole answered both without hesitation. The room fell silent. The board recessed. Cole sat in the hallway, waiting. Waiting had always been the hardest part. Then Nora walked toward him. "They recognized her score," she said. "Full reinstatement. Complaint dismissed." Cole didn't speak right away. He simply breathed. For the first time in weeks, he could. 3 weeks later, Macy competed at the state level. Truth. And sometimes, the right people finally listen. And as the light faded across the floor, it carried away the noise, the doubt, everything that had tried to break her. In its place, something quieter remained, stronger, unshaken, a truth that no one could erase. Cole didn't just stand for his daughter. He became the reason